Hi class. So today we learned how to add and subtract fractions that have the same denominator, the same numbers on the bottom. So when you're adding parts together, like 1/9 plus 4/9, what we do is we add up the numerators, 1 plus 4, and that will tell us how many ninths we have. We had 1/9 and we're adding 4/9, so that means we're going to have 1 plus 4, which is 5 ninths. Here we have 4/16 plus 7/16, so how many sixteenths do we have? We have 11. Letter C, we have 1/4 plus 1/4. How many fourths do we have? We have 2. Now, when we look and work with fractions, we have to be careful to simplify them when necessary. Now, if you look at 2 and 4, these are both even numbers. They have a common factor of 2. When you look at your multiplication sheet, you can see that 2 and 4 have a common factor of 2. So when numbers have common factors, you have to divide those factors out. So I'm going to take 2 and divide it by 2, and take 4 and divide it by 2, and I get 1 on the top and 2 on the bottom. So 2/4 becomes 1/2. So you're going to have to be watching, when do I simplify? Can you recognize when there's a common factor in both the numerator and the denominator? Okay, so now we're going to go on to letter D. We have 11/9 minus 5/9. Remember, you keep the bottom the same when you're adding and subtracting. And we're going to subtract 11 minus 5, which is 6. Now, do you see that 6 and 9 might have a common factor? And maybe just double check, looking at 6 and 9 here. 3 and 3. So we're going to need to divide out the common factor on the top and the bottom. So divide by 3 and divide by 3. And we get 2/3. So that's simplified. This isn't wrong. This isn't wrong. It's just not simplified. And so it's really good to start learning how to recognize when we need to simplify those fractions. All right, so the rest of these in this section from 1 to 12 are like that, where you're going to add the numerators or you're going to subtract them. And you're going to keep the denominator or the bottom the same. Okay, so I'll just do a few of these, but you're going to be able to do these, I think, with no problems. So we have 1/8, and we're adding it to 4/8. So that's 1 plus 4 is 5, and those and you keep the bottom the same. We have 5/8. Let's see. I'll do number 7. We have 3/5 plus 1/5. Well, that's 4. Right, 3 plus 1 is 4 over 5. I'm going to give you a little hint on these. I'm going to put a little S. This one's going to need to be simplified when you're done. This one's going to need to be simplified. Let's see, any other ones that I see? This one's going to need to be simplified. This one's going to need to be simplified. And this one's going to need to be simplified. So use your factor pair sheet to see if they have, when you're done doing the subtraction or the additions, see what the common factor is and divide that out. So you're going to work on these. Okay. Go ahead and finish, work on those for a little bit. Now I'm going to work on, pause it or turn it off and come back to the video. Now we're going to do the same thing here, but we have to be careful because we have integers, which means we have some negative numbers. And so in class I told you that we want the denominators to be the same. So you're not going to take this negative and put it on the number below. Okay? You're going to take this negative and put it on the number on top. So what that means is I'm going to have a negative 1 over 8 plus 4/8. Okay? And this way I can add these fractions together because the denominators are the same, and then we'll look at the numerators to see what we get when we take -1 and add 4. So you're going to put these negatives on the top. Okay? All right, so -1 plus 4. Get your number line out. -1. Oops, let's see if you can see that. Start at -1, and we're going to add 4. Go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 3. So -1 plus 4 is 3. So we have 3/8. Remember, you keep this the same. So you're going to be watching your signs very carefully here. So now at number 14, we have 3/16 minus 6/16. Well, be careful here because 3 is smaller than 6. So if I rewrite this, it's 3 minus 6 on the top, and how many 16ths on the bottom? So remember, we're going to take this 3 and take this minus and put it up here. So 3 minus 6. Well, then you're going to need to use your number line to do 3 minus 6. So start at the 3, and you're going to subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we end up at -3 on the top and 16 on the bottom. Okay, so let me see. I will do 15 and I will do 16, and then you're going to try the rest. Okay, so 15. Notice our denominator is 4. We're going to keep that denominator as 4, so we're going to put this negative up here. So this is -1, and then we're going to put the minus up here with the 5, -5, and that's all over 4. Okay, so -1 minus 5. These all stay on the top. And then we're going to do that math. So -1 minus 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's -6 over 4. Now this one needs to be simplified because 6 and 4 are both even numbers, which means they're both divisible by 2. Let's look. If we look at 6 and 4, they both have a factor of 2. So we're going to need to divide top and bottom by 2. And we have -6 divided by 2 is -3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this isn't wrong, it's just not simplified, and you won't get full credit. You need to divide by 2. Okay, now 16 has a double sign. Remember, when we have double signs, plus minus becomes a minus. And so this plus minus is going to become a minus. So it's 1/2 minus 4/2. Okay, this plus minus right here becomes a minus. And if you remember, a minus, do we have any minuses in here? No, I guess we don't. But a minus becomes a plus. All right, so plus minus becomes a minus, and a minus becomes a plus. Those are double signs. Okay, so this plus minus became a minus. Now we have 1 minus 4. Those are going to be on the top, right? 1 minus 4 goes on the top, and then 2 is going to be on the bottom. So 1 minus 4 is, and use your number line, or if you know how to do this in your head, 1 minus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, is -3. So we get -3 on the top and 2 on the bottom. And we are done with that one. So now you're going to do the same thing with all of these, 17 through 24. You're going to take the negative and put it on the top. So I'll just start this one. It says -1 goes on the top plus 2/3. Okay, so then you're going to take -1 plus 2. Use your number line and simplify and solve that. And this one is 2 minus 8, so that's 2 minus 8 on top over 7. So you're going to need to use your number line. See the picture? Get the picture here? Put this negative up here. This is -3 plus 1 all over 5. Okay, and you're going to have to simplify that. And then see what else you get when you do some of these. Let's see if I can. This is going to need to be simplified when you're done. This is going to need to be simplified. And this one is going to need to be simplified. Okay, so that's how you do the first two sections. So I would say stop and work on those. And then if you have any questions in class, you can raise your hand. If you're at home, you can you won't be able to ask me questions, obviously, but you can ask me questions the next day. All right. The next thing we learned was adding or subtracting mixed numbers. So finish this up on top, and then you can watch this, okay? So with mixed numbers, what I want you to do is take the whole numbers and add those together first. So this we have a 1 and a 2. So it's 1 plus 2. That's going to be 3. Right? And then we take, oops, there's a typo in here. And then this should be a 4. Actually, I think that should be a 5. Well, we'll just make it a 4. Okay. So we add up the whole numbers, 1 plus 2, and that's 3. Then we add up the fractions, 1/4 plus 1/4. Well, 1/4 plus 1/4, remember you keep the denominator the same, and 1 plus 1 is 2. You always keep the denominator the same when they're the same. On all of these, keep the denominator just the same. So it's 4. Now this is 3 then. 1 plus 2 is 3, so that goes here. And then 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2/4. So that's 3 and 2/4. But this needs to be simplified. That's the same thing as a half. So that's 25. So this is what we did learn today, is that we are adding the whole numbers together, and then we're adding the fractional parts. So I'll do 26. We're going to add 2 plus 5, right? So 2 plus 5 is 7. And then we're going to add 3/8 plus 2/8. And you don't always have to copy this down. You can just do it in your head, kind of. 2 plus 5 is 7. And then we're adding these eighths together. So 3 plus 2 is 5. 5/8. But if you want to separate it out like I did, you would do the 2 plus 5 is 7. And then the 3/8 plus the 2/8 is 5/8. And then you just put these two together, 7 and 5/8. So let's see, you should be able to do this one, this one, this one. I'll do a subtraction. So this is 10 and 3/8 minus 8 and 1/8. So it's 10 minus 8. So 10 minus 8 is equal to 2. So we know we have 2 wholes. And then we have 3/8 minus 1/8. So we're going to have how many eighths? 3/8 minus 1/8 is 2/8. So we get 2. 10 minus 8 is 2. And then 3/8 minus 1/8 is 2/8. Then this needs to be simplified because it is has a common factor of 2. If you look at your factor sheet, you'll see it, but they're both even. So divide this by 2 and divide this by 2. And we get 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So that's your final answer. This is not wrong, it's just not simplified, and you need to get in the habit of simplifying. Okay, so you should be able to do this one. This one's going to need to be simplified. This one won't. Let's see. This one, okay, so 33, 34, 35, and 36 are a little weird. So let's do a couple of these. We did some of these in class. So we're going to add up the whole numbers. 2 plus 3, so that's 5, right? 2 plus 3 is 5. And then when we add up 1/3 plus 2/3, we get, see, 1, 2 is 3, so that's 3/3. The denominators are the same, so you just keep the denominator. You add 1 plus 2. Well, 3/3, remember, 3/3 is 1. So we got 5 plus 1. So that's 6. So in other words, let me try that again. Let me see if I can explain that again. We have 5 and 3/3. Well, that's 1. So we're going to add it to the 5, so it becomes 6. And that happens again here. We have 4 plus, there's no whole number here, so we just have 4. But then we have 1/8 plus 7/8, which is 8/8. So 4 and 8/8. This is 1. So that's really, if we have 4 and 8/8, that's 4 and 1, which is 4 plus 1, which is 5. Okay, so sometimes when you add up the fractions, it becomes a 1. So then you have to add that 1 to the whole numbers. We got 4 here plus 1. All right, and that's going to happen again here and here, so watch out. These are the subtraction problems where we have to borrow. So if you look very carefully, you'll see that we have 3 minus 4, 6. So we have 10 minus 5 is 5, right? And then we have 3 6 minus 4 6. Well, 3 minus 4 is negative 1. We don't have enough 6 to borrow. Whoops, daisy, sorry. So we did the 10 minus 5 and we get 5. Then we have 3 6 minus 4 6. Well, we don't have enough 6 here to borrow. Like 3 is smaller than 4. So you're not going to write negative 1x. What we're going to do is we're going to borrow from here. And we're going to make this 4 and 6 6. 4 and 6 6 is the same thing as 5. Okay? So, let's see. I think I'm going to need to start that again. Let's try that again. We're going to subtract this 3 6 minus the 4 6. We need to borrow from the 10. That becomes 9. And then we have 6 6 plus the 3 6 that we have minus 5 and 4 6. This is quite complicated, and I can see I'm going to need to try to explain the next one again. So then we have 9 and 9 6 minus 5 and 4 6. That's 4 and 5 6. I think I'm going to try to explain this one a little bit better. Let's see. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, so we have 2 1/4 minus 3 1/4. Well, this is 1/4 minus 3/4. So we don't have enough quarters. We have 1, take away 3, that's not enough. So we need to borrow from the 2. So we're going to take this 2 and make it a 1. And we're going to borrow 4/4. So 1 and 4/4 is the same thing as 2. We add that to the 1/4 and subtract 3/4. So we get 1 and 5/4 minus 3/4, which is equal to 1 and 2/4. Okay, those two are the hardest ones. I think I'm going to count those as extra credit. Okay, those were extra credit, and I think I'm going to need to explain those a little bit better in class. Okay, so finish this side, and then you're going to measure on the back. You're going to do some measuring. Where is it? And you did this in class, and so we need to be practicing this measuring rulers. Where is it? Here it is. All right, then you're going to measure. Okay? All right. I hope this helps to add and subtract fractions with the same denominators and mix numbers that have whole numbers and fractions that have the same denominators. Okay, talk to you later.